Yo dudes and dudettes, your friendly neighbor JaxBlade is back. As this DragonBall Daima just concluded and was the last thing Toriyama ever worked on, and like, you know, Dragon Ball's just a staple of my channel. You wouldn't have this channel without Dragon Ball and those horses. I just wanted to definitely have a talk on it. For starters, one of the things I love is the fact that they didn't feel tied down to Dragon Ball Super, because a lot of people have mistakenly been saying like, oh no, this is gonna tie into Super at the end here, and it's like, no. Dragon Ball these days has basically become a choose your own adventure series, especially with the new stuff that Toriyama and his team added to Daima, which I really love. And I actually did a deep in-depth breakdown of that like a couple months ago. I'll add that video here. Our fallen king could not help himself and added some different lore and some different changes that just completely affect certain things. For instance, Kibito Kai or Kibito Shin or whatever has now 3 different situations for how he's ended up. Daima was the last thing Toriyama actually worked on, and it has officially cemented that Dragon Ball is just a choose your own adventure series. Remember those books where you could choose a different path? That's what Dragon Ball has become. Let's go over them. There's the original manga, just all called Dragon Ball, which goes from Pilaf Saga all the way to End of Z. There's the anime, Dragon Ball Z. Then you could also go Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT. But here's where things get tricky. Bardock, Father of Goku was a TV special that Toriyama loved so much that he straight up added it to the manga. And for years, that special was canon. It was even part of DBZ Kai's opening, which was supposed to be more manga accurate, though they edited out Bardock's scar. Years later, Dragon Ball Minus came out, which completely changed this. And then also, they did that in Dragon Ball Super Broly, and now this is just how Bardock's story is in Dragon Ball Super. Choose which Bardock storyline you F with more. Now you can do Bardock, Father of Goku, Dragon Ball, then Dragon Ball Z, then Dragon Ball GT. And for people who say, well, what about History of Trunks? That was already in the manga, like, regardless, so that's already just canon how that story goes. But there's something else we need to add. If you really want to, you can add some of the DBZ films to the lore. BoJack Unbound fits after the Cell games or right before the 7-year gap. After the Dragon fits perfectly right after Boo. Cooler, maybe that 3-year time skip before the androids, though Goku should have transformed faster. But Cooler did appear in Dragon Ball GT, so you can play around with that timeline if you want. Then you could also go Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, the anime, Dragon Ball Super, the manga, because these things are not one in one. There are quite a few differences in both of them. With Daima out, we now got Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Daima. So in multiverse terms, Earth Prime would be like, you know, original Dragon Ball manga, and then the Z section of the storyline. And then everything else is like these two are running it, because it's like, I think I like these flow of events better than that one. So the argument of what's canon and what's not has completely changed, because it's like, okay, well, this is canon to the anime verse, but it's not canon to the manga verse. This is canon to the Dragon Ball Super verse, but it's not canon to the Daima verse. Toriyama just couldn't help himself. He had fun to the end. I really wish he got to see like how greatly animated this was, but like I'm sure he's smiling down with King Kai right now. And to add on to that, we got a new origin for Majin Buu, and of course the new Super Saiyan 4. And I actually find that like, you know, pretty fun and in line with Toriyama, especially with how mellow and laid back he's been known to be. Like so many people stress about like, no, this is canon, this is canon, this is canon, this is canon, this is canon. And like Toriyama's just like, hey man, you know, choose what you want. Just as long as you like the manga and enjoy the series, like, you know, that's chill. And I actually enjoy that. So when it comes to overall story, I actually think the series, just like many, has like ups and downs. However, I do think episode 1 of Daima is like the best opener to a Dragon Ball series yet. So like compared to episode 1. So if you go to like episode 1 of Dragon Ball, episode 1 of Dragon Ball Z, episode 1 of Dragon Ball Super, episode 1 of Dragon Ball GT even, I think that Daima has the strongest thing to make you go like, whoa, okay, I am hooked, I am interested, just because they were showing you updated animation that really makes you go like, damn, can we get that Hunter like 2011 like freaking remake treatment for Dragon Ball and stuff like that. I know you would have to make peace with like a lot of the Japanese voice actors like probably not being able to do that, because that would just be a long endeavor as well. But it is one of those situations where it's like, bruh, I would definitely like be a part like 100% into this sort of thing. Story wise though, like afterwards, I think it started to have like ups and downs just naturally, as like a lot of series do, where like, okay, the first arc where it was like Goku, Supreme Kai, Pansy, and Glorio, and they were just like doing like, you know, Dragon Ball adventure stuff. I actually didn't mind those. I thought those were kind of fun. Now I know a lot of people don't like that like adventure thing like with Dragon Ball, but I just did. It did, however, take a dip to me when they started to add in Bulma, Vegeta, and Piccolo. And they kept doing that thing of like, oh, we're here. No, actually we're not. They're getting delayed. Oh, we're here. We're getting delayed again. That was a bit of a like, okay, how many times are you going to do this? And then when they actually do team up, there was a part of me that's like, this team seems a bit overpowered. Even if they are kids, it just seems like they should just be like dog walking everyone. And most of the times they did. But again, there was never a point when I was watching it where I felt like, oh god, I freaking hate this. Oh my god, feel this way, because sadly I felt that way, like, you know, when watching Super at points where it's just like I feel obligated to keep watching this. With Daima, it's just like the animation is so good, and then it was just like the way it moved, the fluidity of how the characters move, and the fact that it was like, you know, shorter time and they like really put in a lot of work into it. I was like, you know what? I'm digging this. I am digging this. However, when it comes to antagonists, besides Dr. Rinzu's fine ass, and then like, was that one girl supposed to be Towa? You know what I'm saying? The one girl who randomly showed up later? Like, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, are they trying to do like a Towa reference? Like, tell me in the comment section down below. I don't know. I was just like watching it. I was just like, is that supposed to be like a reference or something like that to her? I don't know. The whole thing with like, you know, Gomah and like how his plan and all this stuff like that. Like, Gomah's villain, I mean, it's one of those goofy Toriyama villains, so like if he had fun drawing it or coming up with it, then I'm not gonna take anything away from it. However, as a final boss, I felt very underwhelmed because it just felt like, you know, he was cosplaying Jiren at the end there. And then what's funny though is I've always said this, and you can tell from this short right here, I always said that Majin Buu, in my personal opinion, was the best final villain of the franchise, of Dragon Ball's franchise, because he felt like an amalgam of the goofy Dragon Ball villains that you started with, and then the series Dragon Ball Z villains, and the fact that he had so many unique hacks abilities to himself, it was like, how are you gonna kill this guy? He has so many unique hacks. Like, everyone after him hasn't really impressed me because it just feels like buffed up versions of what we've seen before. Like, they don't really do anything that makes you go like, oh man, that's so crazy or something like that. I talked about it in depth in that video. But like, it's funny how much prevalence Boo had in this series. Where it's like, oh dude, they fought Boo, like they ain't no joke and stuff like that. And then they introduced, you know, the SpongeBob and Patrick character. Like, that's all I call them. I know it's like Do and Coo and all that stuff, but like they're just SpongeBob and Patrick. That's all they are to me. That's literally all they are to me, SpongeBob and Patrick. They were fine. They're fun, stuff like that. For some reason, I just don't like the fish lips that Toriyama gives characters. It just always looks off to me. But yeah, they were fine. And now, of course, we gotta talk about the big thing, Super Saiyan 4. I love the fact that they blended like Super Saiyan God with Super Saiyan 4's designs, and then gave him those big ass Donkey Kong Wreck-It Ralph gorilla hands. And I just thought this was like absolutely a amazing design. Like, I am definitely going to be buying a figure of it like I have with that one right there. I think this works extremely well just because I've said it before, like I'd never cared for like the palette swap transformations that Super had, like, you know, Blooper Saiyan or Danny Phantom mode, stuff like that. Like, I love black haired Ultra Instinct too for a lot of reasons, but like, you know, just I like when the transformations are just like, oh no, that is a complete change, and like this is a perfect blending of the Saiyan warrior and their Uzaru form, and I'm just like, yeah, this looks hype. I do wish that the antagonist he was fighting was cooler and not Frieza's brother, but like, no, it was just one of those situations where yeah, I was like, oh man, this is really hype. This is a cool fight. The animation, they went in and stuff like that. And I looked in the like description of the final episode. It said like both Wit Studios and Mappa worked on this, and you know, they're so great for like, you know, Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen, all that stuff. So like, they helped bring some really top tier A game to this episode. So I think it's great. However, I don't think the episode's conclusion was as great as, say, how Dragon Ball Super's wrapped up with, like, you know, the Tournament of Power, and then Goku and Frieza, like, you know, teaming up and fighting Jiren and stuff like that, and then Goku's, like, hair flickering, and then they're both punching Jiren. I think that was a better conclusion as the series progressed. But if I had to, like, rank these series, overall, just, like, which Dragon Ball I think first, like, first off, like, you know, Dragon Ball Z, they're always going to be the top. So if I had to rank it, I think it has sort of an unfair advantage because I rank by something I started doing, like, I don't know if other people know what it's called, like episodic chaining. My friend looked at me like, what the fuck? So this could be a thing that I created, so patent pending JaxBlade, haha. But like, think of your favorite anime, whatever it may be, or your favorite show, whatever, all right? You primarily remember the highlights of that show, and you primarily remember how it made you feel, right? Like, that's the main thing. Like, when you're watching a show, it's like, I remember this. Now, with episodic chaining, how many episodes in a row was actually quality? Because that is the thing. There's a ton of great anime out there, or great series out there in general, where there are certain things where it's like, oh, this was really good here, but there are like this like stretch of episodes that are just like freaking like bad. Like, I don't like this. I don't enjoy watching this part of it. Like, this is just tedious to get through. And then you get to the good part and it's like, okay, whatever. So how many episodes in a row can you chain together that are good, great, amazing, or just, you know, phenomenal and stuff like that, versus how many episodes can you chain in a row that are like, you know, not that great? They're sort of like, why am I doing this? I'm watching this out of obligation. And I feel with Dragon Ball Daima, because it had a shorter time, that it had better episodic chaining, so that leaves the overall series to rank higher to me than, say, Dragon Ball Super, which had like, I want to say 131 episodes. And the thing about Dragon Ball Super is it's unfair to compare, because like the first like 50 episodes, right? Like, was it 50? Like, it was like they redid Battle of Gods and Resurrection F, and they weren't that great. The arcs, when you rewatch it to this day, like they aren't that good, sadly. Like, and they were rushed. It's not fair. Like, it's not fair to do that to them. And then like when they got to Goku Black arc, like that was like, you know, really good at first, but then fizzled out and ended like dog crap. And then the Tournament of Power, there were a lot of highlights in the Tournament of Power, but if you watch all 50 episodes back to back, it's pretty clear like not every episode is like, you know, going to be having that chain together quality. So I think just I would rank it a higher just because I had a better like memory. Like, I can rewatch this, like I'm rewatching it dubbed right now and just seeing like how it's performing, and there's never a point where I'm like, oh god, I don't feel like watching this. Oh god, I feel like I'm obligated to watch this and stuff like that. That doesn't mean that like I hate Super at all. Like, I still think Super is a fun show. It's not like, you know, the peak like quintessential, because I heard something recently the other day where someone said how Dragon Ball Super for kids these days is what Dragon Ball Z was to us kids who grew up in like the 90s and early 2000s watching it on like, you know, Toonami and stuff like that, or even those kids who grew up watching Dragon Ball Z Kai on Nicktoons and stuff like that. So I'm by no means taking away their enjoyment. It's just a certain thing where I look at it and go like, okay, yeah, like this is fun, but like there are, if you rewatch the entire thing in bulk, there are definitely going to be things where I'm like, and I'm not sure if like this is hitting as much as I remember, but then you get that highlight and it's like, bruh, yes, this is freaking gas, this is fire. Overall, Dragon Ball Daima, fun show, highly recommend it. It's sad that like Netflix really fumbled the bag with it, because like as soon as Dragon Ball Daima was on Netflix, they should have had a multi-language thing for people who want to watch it, because like, you know, in Latin America, Dragon Ball is like basically like Jesus to them, so it's like you should have had that ready. Or even for like English dub speakers who aren't weebs like, you know, me or you or something like that, where they prefer to listen to Dragon Ball in like English and stuff like that. Like, to me, I can listen to it in Japanese, English, I don't care. Like, I watch either, I love the show. But that's a lot of people. There's a good number of people who did not watch Daima because it was only in Japanese, and like a lot of people do like to watch stuff in their native language, I found. So it's just like, that was a really big shame that they really fumbled the bag on that. Hopefully when they add the dub to it, and then like different dubs to it as well, that other people will start watching it. And it was a fun thing, and like I can't be upset at it. I just take it as like a fun little show, nothing to take too seriously or anything like that. And then, you know, if Toriyama had fun working with it, then that's all that matters to me. But let me know in the comment section, what did you think? I just wanted to talk on this just because I wanted to, and I just like was like, hey, I got some stuff to say. But remember, like I always say, I got tons of programs as well. If you want to train like Goku and the other people, I got tons of stuff there. I got more videos coming next month. Again, like I've been busy, sorry, like I got sick earlier, so I had to like, you know, take a long time to recover and recuperate. That's why there was like a stretch between videos. And yeah, like remember, like I always say, keep calm, booyah on, and don't forget Momentai. And also if you want a sensei, I'm having a discount on my coaching right now, which I posted at the beginning of this video as well. So check it out, and I hope I can see you there. But yeah, hope you have a great one. Go watch Daima.